All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Hello and welcome, and thank you so much for your patience as I was getting the stream set up. Bit of a rush, but we are here and we are ready for round 11 of ISRL's Division 1 Championship, and we are here at the Australian Grand Prix. My name is Eric, or Fallen Monkeys, joined in the commentators booth, as always, by Jamie. Jamie, thank you for joining me. Glad to have you with us. And I think since you were here a little bit as I was getting everything set up, maybe give us a little rundown. What's gone on? What have we missed so far now that we're live and set up and ready to go?
Yeah, hello everybody. Nice to be back Sunday evening. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so basically quite a few invalidations, as you can see, the early doors in qualified, just to set a really fantastic lap time of 20.4 on his first attempt, and he's beaten the competition by a milestone. So one lap time, I was just on board with him there, flicking the car left and right, getting on the power very smoothly as well. But I was on board with a McLaren driver. I think Killer Blue's been in the gravel. Yeah, Killer Blue's also another driver who's lost his front wing. But I was on board with YS Brand, and he crashed coming out of turn number 3. I believe he was on the medium compound tyres. He got the throttle way too early for the car's liking, and sadly for him, lost traction and hit the wall. So that's one driver out already on the medium compound tyres. It looks like, judging by the gravel chaps, Killer Blue went off in the gravel, then applied a little bit of throttle and sadly went to the wall, so that's why he's lost his front wing. But we've got some lap times coming in. Chivoon and Nathan with a 20.8, separated by 900, and about 4 tenths away from Justice, who's currently the man on provisional pole position. You've got QVR Campbell down in P6 on the medium compound tyres with a 21.7. But yeah, you expect to see a lot of invalidations around here because this track is very, very challenging. It's very punishing as well if you get it wrong. And sadly, XL Gary just left the session. I was on board with him, then disappeared off him. But Steven's got second place with a 20.7.
Yeah, jumped on board with Steven just very quickly as he was finishing his lap coming through Sector 3, so didn't quite get much of a view of his lap, but obviously seems like a very good one. A 20.7 second place here, just, well, I'll say just behind Justice, who's still got about a 3/10 of a second gap here between the two, as I'm seeing Isaac Kush coming around the final corner, looking to be a decent lap time as he crosses the line very shortly. Another 120.7, but that was on 2-lap old soft tires. So you would think that for a defending champion, for Izat in that Mercedes, he's got a little bit more pace behind him here, and he's going to need to find that here. Of course, this season hasn't been too kind for Izat. A couple unlucky runs, but doing what he's got to do so far here in this qualifying session, putting him up in second place, just behind his teammate of Justice, sitting in the pit, showing the soft tires here, as it's looking like quite a few drivers here. I think initially a lot of them went on the softs, the likes of QVR Campbell, XL Rocco, Luke, and Carmentelis setting that initial time on the mediums. But for the most part, a lot of them are probably going to be switching to the soft tires here, as they're going to be starting their second lap time. And that was a little close. Thank goodness for ghosting there, as QVR Campbell, I think, heading into the pit lane, nearly making contact, similar to what we saw in the Imola last week in the real life Grand Prix, but less consequential, of course, since the cars ghost in the pit lane here. But through the second round of laps, couple drivers on their out laps. Of course, Justice, we'll see what he can do, if he can improve on that 20.4. We've got the Red Bulls, Mark on an out lap, Killer Blue on an out lap. Of course, the two Haas looking to improve. They should be able to improve, though, so I think both of them or XL Rocco at least did his first lap on those on the medium tires. So I'm thinking, on a fresh set of softs, if he can keep it within track limits, should be able to improve. But of course, like you were saying, Jamie, track limits here, very difficult. It's a lot easier said than done, as you'll see drivers really take a lot of curb here. But I'm going to keep an eye on Dan in that Ferrari, as he's finished Sector 1, going to try to put a time on the board here, and we'll have a bit of a better idea once he approaches the end of Sector 2, how it's going to work out for him, as I think a little bit further ahead, a couple yellow flags, but that's just drivers getting out of the way, nothing to worry about too much there. Looking to take almost an invalidation there. I got a little worried for Dan, but keeps it within track limits here, as I'm trying to keep an eye out where that second sector ends. Haven't quite seen the time yet, so we'll see how it's going to look like as he crosses the line here in just a little bit. Only a few corners to go for Dan, where we'll see where he's going to put himself here in the timing tables.
Yep, and he makes his way towards the line, and it's going to be a 20.6, and that puts him up into second place. So second quickest driver overall. What a lap time that was from Dan. Very smooth, very consistent there, flicking in left to right in that little chicane there. So yeah, that was a fantastic lap time for Dan. I was on board with the whole of that lap. He just looks like he was just wherever the car went, it went perfectly for him, and yeah, managed to put a lap time on the board to him. So I think guys behind like Ben JS and XL Larkin has just evaluated his first flying lap. So has Ben JS as well, so those guys really struggling there to stay in the track limits, so within the track limits. So let's see if they can get a lap time on the board. They should do, but yeah, still got plenty of time in this qualifying session to do so. We've got a lot of people on their laps now. We've got XL Rocket, but XL Rocket's just bounced over the curb. It's just as goes quickest with a 20.2, extends his advantage by an extra 4/10. So what a lap time again. Just getting those lap times in. It looks like he's not making mistakes either. So Justice are very consistent with getting those lap times in, just banging them in and getting it even quicker as he gets more confident around his track then. So Justice seems to can get a manager around his track as JB1 makes his way towards the line, and that's where'd he go? Stays in P10, but I think Killer Blue.
Yeah, Killer Blue.
Yeah.
Right at the end of Sector 1, I think, here, we'll see, we'll right on board with Justice, and there was that car there that we saw as you see Justice go very slow. It looked like, I think he just caught the curb on the exit of, I think it was turn 6 or turn 7, right at the end of Sector 1. I think, just lost control of the car, ran into the wall. Of course, you can see for the most part the walls are very close to the track. Not much runoff area here to give you that extra leeway, and I think Killer Blue unfortunately fell victim to that. As Nathan is about to cross the line, a bit of a favorite here for the championship with the lead he has. It's a 20.5, so closing that gap up. But Justice, we saw, went quicker second time around with the 120.2. He's still about he's still got about a 3/10 of a second cushion, but you can see drivers are getting a little bit more accustomed here to this track this second time around. We're seeing Stephen Osh, he's about 2/10 of a second quicker, so on pace for a 120.5, but I'm sure he can maybe find a little bit more here through Sector 3. I'll stick on board with him as he's only got a few corners to go. Coming around the final corner, quick on the power, takes a little bit of that curb there on the final corner as he heads towards the line. What's it gonna be? Is he gonna move up a little bit? And it looked like he did, a 120.4, and he puts himself up into second place, but still about 2/10 of a second slower than our provisional pole sitter Justice, who has hung on to that place for the entirety of qualifying up until now.
Elsewhere on the track, Relentless Mark, he almost spun in the pit lane there as he tried to get in there, but he spun coming out of turn number 4, I believe. Yeah, the exit of turn 4, so I'm not quite sure if he took too much curb. I only saw the aftermath of that spin, so excited for him. He could get that lap time in, and he's still down there in P11. Elsewhere as well, Ben JS and Total P is one of the 3 drivers not set a lap time yet, so Total P is in the pit lane just waiting. Let's see if we'll see him on the track. We've got QVR Campbell making his way towards that final corner and flick it in very nicely, taking a wider angle to get a good run on the straight as he makes his way towards the line. Let's see what lap time it is. It's a 20.6, which pops him up into second row along with Relentless Nathan. Those two had a fantastic battle at the British GP. They went side by side through the entirety of sets 2 and 3, then ended up QVR Campbell, who got ahead on those fresher soft compound tyres when Nathan did pit because of the medium compound tyres and didn't want to lose track position. But yeah, those two had a fantastic tie, and let's see if we can see that again. And Total Peas has retired in the pit lane, so it looks like he's not going to go out the track. Maybe he's got a qualifying ban, or he just doesn't want to be out there or something like that.
No qualifying ban. No qualifying ban for Peas. I think maybe just not feeling comfortable here around this track. Could be trying to run an alternate strategy of just starting from the back. Consider it, starting from the back, trying to work his way up. Maybe avoid some of the chaos that we can sometimes see here on these first laps. I'm not too sure what the call is with that strategy though for Peas. Maybe just not feeling comfortable here in actually setting a lap and choosing he'd rather start from the back than possibly set a time that would put him right in the midfield. We've seen that sometimes with some drivers who prefer just not being kind of sandwiched between cars through the first few corners, prefer being at the back, letting the first few corners play out. and then working their way up from there. He does have the pace, but we'll have to see if that strategy is going to play out for Pease. Ben JS, meanwhile, no time on the board either. The only other driver who had yet to put a time, but he's going to cross the line very shortly. It's a 21.1, and that puts him just outside of the top 10. So in P11, as of now, if you're going to be outside of the top 10, that's the place to be. P11, best of the rest, so you will get that free choice of tires. But I'm sure for Ben, he was probably hoping to be just a little bit further up here. But with 3 minutes to go in qualifying, he's going to have to hurry to the pit lane if he wants to try to set another lap, unless he does have enough fuel. But it doesn't look like it's going to be the case already. That fuel indicator flashing red, leading me to believe that he's going to have to hurry, hustle into the pit lane and get that new set of tires if he wants to set any other lap time. Especially with everybody and their mother pretty much out on an out lap here, looking to get that final lap time in.
Yeah, the track's getting busier as the drivers start to come out of the pit lane to set their potential flying laps, because if you validate the first lap, you could always go for a second one if you got the fuel through. That's why these drivers that came out earlier, so they could get that second lap in just in case if they make a mistake on their first. But we've got Isak Kushted makes his way out turn 2 on the DRS straight, second DRS straight, plenty of opportunities to overtake down here as we've seen in the past. Coming down this turn 3 then, hit this inside curb, or kiss it at the apex, run it over to the right hand side, bring it back to the left hand side, use that inside curb there, use the outside of the trap, but don't hit those railings there. Turn 6 flat out, easy flat out unless you're in the race of course, might have a slight lift off. So coming to turn number 7 and 8, rides that inside curve very nicely, using all of the track on the left hand side, and coming flat out through here with no problem whatsoever, probably the easiest part of the track. Coming towards turn 9 and turn 10, hit that inside curve there, and using all the track on the left hand side, and going up close to the wall as well. Now bring it over to the left hand side to minimise the distance, as we'll make our way to turn number 9 and turn 11 and 12. There we go then. He messes up the second part, so didn't get the best run into the second part. The first part was okay, but didn't quite flick it in the second part. So make our way down into turn 13 then. Let's see how he takes this one. Nicely on the entry there, leads out on the curb. Now coming towards this one, slight dab off the brakes, and using all the track on the left hand side. Ben JS has retired somewhere, not quite sure about the pit lane. His penultimate corner, rotates the car very nicely to make our way into the final corner, then upshift into 5th gear, using all the track on the left hand side yet again, as we make our way towards the line. Let's see what lap time this is. It's a 20.6, but I dare say it could be quicker if you didn't make that mistake in that middle sector. But Dan Neising has just popped that Ferrari in P2. What a lap time from the Ferrari driver there, but under a 10 slower than Justice. So I think that's his last final run now, because he's run out of fuel. So he's only fueled that car for 1 lap, as he probably thought he could do that 1 lap. So what a lap time there. Nathan as well, he's also coming towards the end of his lap very shortly. He's also fueled that car for 1 more lap. If it was me, I'd do it for 2, because I definitely know I might make a mistake on my first final flying lap. So we make our way then towards the final corner. Let's see what lap time he's got in the bag, and let's see then, can he beat Justice's time as he makes his way towards the line. It's a 20.2, and he beats him by a few hundreds there. So let's see if Justice can respond. We've got a Red Bull coming towards the line. That is Giroud, who's going to start his final flying lap after making a mistake on his first one, I presume. And the Mercedes just crossed the line. Was that Justice? I think it was Justice.
Yeah, that was Justice.
What's happened to him? He just hit the wall.
Yeah, I didn't quite see that there. He did cross the line. He was about half a second slower than his best. So I think there was a mistake by Justice somewhere along the way. And by hitting the wall, that completely removes any opportunity Justice has to fight back here now that qualifying's come to a close. So in a bit of a shock here, Ariel Nathan, now it's his pole to lose, as we saw Dan come close. Stephen Osh had an invalidation somewhere along the way, so you're seeing him go very slowly. But Cuvier Campbell, I think he's a 10th of a second quicker here on his lap time, so I think he's going to be the driver to look out for, as he's only got a few corners to go. He was going faster, but the question is, is it going to be enough from sector 1 and 2? I don't think so, but as he heads towards the line, what's it going to be? It's a 20.3, puts him up into 3rd, but not quick enough to snag that provisional pole position here. Is anybody else truly running a lap here? Yeah, Jerome coming around the final corner. Let's see. Ooh, that's not going to help him out too much, as he unsettled the car around the final corner, and it was a 20.5, so you got to think of what could have been there for Jerome, as he might have been a little bit closer to the pace to put that car possibly in the top 3 there.
Jamie Bond coming towards the line now. Let's see if he can improve from P10. Yes, just goes ahead of his Haas teammate. Both Haas's then inside that top 10 for the Australian Grand Prix. But Relentless Nathan then on pole position by a few hundreds ahead of Justice, with QVR Campbell in P3, the race for their last time out at the British GP. Dan Neising, what a qualifying for him in P4. Be very happy with that one, I'm sure of it. And Stephen in P5 with Javoon in P6. Isat in P7 with Jamie 1 in P8. XO Rocco, Killer Blue in P10 despite crashing out early and qualified, still being in P10, but I'm sure he didn't want to start there because he's going to be surrounded by people who are the fresher tyres on the medium. So XL Gary then in P11 in the best place to be if you are outside the top 10, because you get a fresh choice of tyres, and he'll go the medium compound tyres along with the rest, I'm sure of it, down further down the field. But yeah, so two people deserve that time. One of them crashed and the other one retired in the pit lane, which is Pease and YS Brand down there, P7 to the P18. So let's see what strategy Pease goes for, because I don't think the hard compound tyres is really a good tyre to run around this track, because it just doesn't generate that temperature quick enough or that grip, as seen as a very hard track to do so. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting strategy call for him down there in P18. Let's see how many positions he can make up from the grid. But yeah, this settles it really nicely for the race, as we've got Nathan on pole position then, separated by a few hundreds.
Yeah, I mean, about, well, when I'm looking at the gap time here, a few hundredths, about 1.5 hundredths of a second separating Nathan and Justice, just to show how close those lap times were. I mean, I'm sure Justice, it remains of what could have been had he not unsettled the car there, had he not made that mistake on the final lap. But even QVR Campbell, less than 1/10 of a second behind the pole position runners. So definitely a driver to keep an eye out on as well. Going down the top 10, separated by just over half a second here. Going down to Killer Blue. Like you were saying, Jamie, from 11th downwards, should be running the medium tires. Of course, hard tires tend to not be too popular around this circuit, like they tend not to be around pretty much any circuit here. You'll see them run in some of the lower divisions here, as I see in ISRL, but here in Division 1, drivers tend to just either run the softs or run the mediums. They know they've got the tire wear, they know they've got the pace, but as we load into the race lobby here, looking to be a little bit more cloudy here than it was in qualifying. So it might be a little bit more challenging getting some heat in those tires. That track temperature might not be as hot as it was over the course of qualifying, so we could maybe see a bit more of an advantage in those soft tires. That's a lot easier to get that temperature into them than it is the mediums, but we'll see. I would think in a couple moments here what the drivers are going to decide to do. Of course, top 10 will be on the soft tires nonetheless, as that's the tire they set their quickest lap time on. But we'll see what the rest of the field does, as Nathan leads the way in that AlphaTauri for the formation lap. Let's put on the tire choice here, and Jamie, essentially exactly what you predicted, from 11th down to 18th, all on the medium tires, except for, interestingly enough, the Red Bull of Mark, who opted for a set of soft tires. So going to be a driver, I think, right off the bat to keep an eye out on, to make some moves here in the first couple laps. Take advantage of those soft tires, take advantage of that extra grip that he's going to have to try to move up and keep up with the top 10. It's going to be crucial for his race, I would think, to overtake the likes of Ben JS, Carmentalis, XL Gary, to get back with that group that are on the soft tires. And assuming he's got a fresh set on and not a used set from qualifying, should be in a good position if he can get that done very quickly, I think, over the course of the first lap or two.
Yep, indeed. So Marks has to really push that beat a soft compound tire, really excel on those as well, as he's on the ahead of between those medium runners, so he has to use those soft compound tires to his advantage and make as many positions as he possibly can off the start, and let's see where he can go from there. But yeah, the medium compound tires, Gary is the leader of the one, so I'm going to interested to see, because safety cars is a high chance of around here, because it's so easy to make a mistake around here. You've seen it in previous races, so let's see if his safety car the soft runners or the medium runners. About lap 9 or 10 for the soft runners if it comes out then, but if not, about lap 16, 17 for the medium runners. But we'll see then if safety cars do play a factor in this race, and we'll see who gets caught out by those curves, especially down at turn 11 and turn 12 there. Those two corners could definitely catch you out, especially the exit of it as well. The entry and exit is so difficult that you have to find a rhythm through there, keep the momentum going. We've seen Timo Glock on the pass before in 2008 where he went completely off the track and smashed up the car. Felipe Massa as well back in 2013, but all the drivers that landed up on the grid, and Eric will take you away for the start.
Yeah, of course, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Turn 11, that high-speed chicane, it only takes one mistake, one lapse of concentration to end your race here. So we'll see how drivers are going to play it out. There's a couple other corners here. We'll see if they play any effects that are sleeper corners, but as the drivers have taken their place on the grid, we're just awaiting for the cue, and up to 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off, and we are racing in Australia, as it looks to be a pretty good start from everybody as they head down towards turn 1. And you can see Justice already taking an early lead. He got a great run off the line here as he takes the lead of the Australian Grand Prix into the first corner. Nathan staying in second as he's going to be battling back, tried to make a move on the outside. But you can see a little bit further behind the likes of Dan and Jerome, 2x2. Stephen Ocean, he's at Cush having a little side-by-side battle here as they've sorted that out just a little bit. But I do think there is still a little bit of a battle here as Isaac Kush up into 6th place. Stephen Osh falls down into 7th, just couldn't quite keep up with the Mercedes driver, but already a little bit of a gap is formed between P5 and P6 as they're all trying to stick to the leaders. But it looks to be a relatively clean start from everybody, as now we're going to start seeing drivers maybe settle a little bit more single file for this section of the track, as they're just going to focus on making it through this high-speed chicane that Jamie, you were bringing up a little bit earlier, and it looks like for the most part everyone's made it through over the course of this first lap a little bit cleanly. But already XL Larkin falling back a little bit, not having too much pace here in these early stages. Meanwhile, XL Gary is trying to battle back. Pease, we saw that started from the back of the field, and that strategy seems to be working out for him. He's already up into P13. Meanwhile, Mark and Carmental is side by side around the final corner, and Mark makes contact with the wall. Does he have any damage on that car? Not that I can see from my vantage point, but of course could be some unnoticed damage as Pease gets ahead of him up into P12 as he's starting his charge, or continuing his charge up the field, already up 6 positions after 1 lap. And XL Larkin, I think he made contact as well as he's in the pits, and that would explain why he was falling off the pace a little bit earlier there on that first lap.
Yeah, so XL Gary with the exit at turn 12 had a bit of a wobbly exit coming out of that corner, so it allowed Pease to get the run up in and go down the inside of it with turn 13. Mark tried to go down the inside of Carmental as he's on the soft compound tyres, so he tried to make the use out of them before they start to fade away, and that's why you see him desperately trying to get past the medium runner of Carmental. Carmental is the highest medium runner, but XL Gary falling down his P40. He couldn't settle into a rhythm starting for him. Stephen, however, at the start of the race, he was side by side with Dan Neising, and Stephen was offline into turn 1, and sadly he lost that position not only to Dan, but also Javoon and Isa Kush. He had a bad exit coming out of turn 7, just understeered off the track. They allowed Isa Kush to go up to P6 then, so Stephen there lost a bit of ground at the start of the race, but it looks like he settled into a rhythm now. We can start putting pressure on those guys ahead, but good start there from Justice. I was on board with QVR Calvin. We had a lovely launch once the lights went out, and he was in the right place down the inside into turn 1. Nathan backed out of it because he knew that side by side into turn 1 you can't, since you can do it, but obviously there's risk there and you don't want to risk it into lap 1. So yeah, good start from Justice. He's in P1 with Nathan.
Oh my goodness, hang on a minute, that was the Red Bull of Jerome who's facing the wrong way. We saw that just very briefly as I'm not too sure if there was contact. It almost looked like he just lost the car on his own accord, maybe clipped the grass there, but not the start of the race the Red Bulls are hoping for. As you saw Jerome facing the wrong way, got back on track. That might be a pit stop, and Mark as well, just coming out of the pits now from that incident 1 lap ago. So I think there was damage to that wing, but not the start the Red Bulls were hoping for there. But apologies for cutting you off there as I just caught that. here on the stream, and you can see Isaac Kush in 5th, starting to fall off the pace that he had initially. He got ahead of Steven, but now you can see 2.3 seconds behind that top 4, and that's not a position he wants to be, especially now with DRS active, and that could open the door for Steven Osh to try to battle back here on those soft tires if he can get a run, especially out of the final corner into the long straight of turn 1, and if not there, going towards turn 3 with that second DRS zone that's essentially back-to-back here. Isaac Kush defending towards the inside, moving back towards the outside, but you can see Steven with that DRS, that overspeed, a very easy move, and just for a little bit of an added bonus, he gets DRS down that second straight here to try to extend that gap to the Mercedes driver, as he's now going to take his turn back in P5, try to catch up to the Ferrari of Dan, who, to be fair, he himself is starting to fall off a little bit compared to the top 3 that are still sticking close together, but led by Justice, who is showing that one lap that he might have messed up was a fluke and not something to be worried about here in this stage of the race.
Yeah, something's happened to Mark. He's braking and accelerating on the straight, so looks like he's waited for his teammates. We're going to have a battle with, so he's not lonely the whole race. But it's a shame for both Red Bulls there. Looks like Mark was just being a little bit too aggressive on the outside there. Never going to make it around the outside of there. It's just such a tight corner. Inevitably, you're going to end up in the wall like you did. Just slight damage. It wasn't visible, but that's still light green damage can affect you massively, especially on a track like this where downforce is heavily required around here. But yeah, like you said, look at Isaac Kush there, looks like he's struggling, but can he use the DRS even now just to stay with him? But yeah, only one DRS detection point for the 2 DRS zones here, the final corner, which Isaac Kush has right now on the back of Steven, so let's see if he can get it back for P5. But yeah, like you said, a massive gap towards Steven and Dan, a 2-second gap. Can Steven close into this gap and try and fight Dan? But Dan looks like he's alone so far in P4. Can he try and close in the back? It's Isaac Kush then already picks up a time penalty within 5 laps, so you can see they're struggling with track limits so far. But total P's from P18 is up into P11 already, so he had a fantastic start, making his way all the way up the field there. He's currently putting pressure on Carl Mentelis, who's right ahead of him. Carl Mentelis is just outside the DRS range of Jamie Ward, so we don't have that protection. So Total Pizza will happily try and fight him and close towards the soft runners, as Carl Mentelis said in P10, the highest soft runner so far. And Total P just right behind him, putting the pressure on him, so let's see how we can handle it. But I've Justin leads with Nathan right behind him in P2, QVR Campbell in P2. The top 3 then looks like they're going to have a fight all race long for P1, and let's see then who can come out on top of these 3 on lap 5.
Yep, we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Definitely watching this top 3 battle. Justice looking very strong here around Albert Park Circuit, but of course Nathan, QVR Campbell, they're keeping them honest here with the top 3. So it's gonna be a good battle, I think, between this top 3 that we're gonna be seeing for the entirety of the race. I mean, Dan trying to keep up, but outside of that 1 second zone, and you can see when you're looking at the gaps here, Steven Osh is starting to close up just a little bit. And I think XL Rocco also might have had a little bit of a moment on the exit of the final corner. Saw that just very briefly on the screen that you went way towards the inside there, and I think he just unsettled the car, riding the curb of the final corner, maybe just a little bit too much power on the exit of that final corner, and now he's gonna have to try to close that up, or he might find himself under a lot of pressure from Killer Blue here, 0.4 of a second behind the likes of that the Haas driver, but keeping XL Rocco keeping that position for the time being. But I mean, well, you got it. Sorry, go on ahead.
No, I was just thinking. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. I was just gonna say you gotta hand it to Pease. Like we said, started from the back of the field, already up into P11, so he's doing exactly what he has to do. And if he can get past Carmentelis, which he's looking to be on pace to do, albeit maybe didn't take the exit at turn 12 that he was ideally hoping for, maybe saving it for the start-finish straight. But from going from last on the grid up to a top 10, exactly what Pease was hoping for, and with those medium tires, going to be going a little bit longer, and could be in a great position, especially once those soft tire runners end up taking their pit stop in maybe about 3 laps time, as already at lap 7 here, of the Grand Prix. And I'm also noticing the two Red Bull drivers, you might be seeing that on your screen, those watching at home, interchanging positions just a little bit as Killer Blue, hang on a minute, in the Alpine goes for an overtake, but goes deep into the corner, and that allows XL Rocco to take the better line and take that position right back. So a great attempt from Killer Blue. He had DRS, went for the overtake, but just couldn't get the car stopped in time, and essentially allowed XL Rocco to pull off a switchback move and retake P7 just as quickly as he lost it there here on that lap.
Total Piers was right behind comments that says he's got himself past the Williams man, so we can start putting pressure on those soft runners ahead of him. But Killer Blue is so easy to outbreak yourself into turn number 2, carried a lot of speed, especially with the help of DRS and XO Rocco. Biding his time, just got his man back, and up into P7 he's going. But it looks like Killer Blue then. Is he close enough to make a move? XO Rocco moving to defend. He's not close enough on this occasion, so he stays in P7 for the time being. But it's a good fight between the Alpine and the two Hasses there. In the Haas sandwich is Killer Blue, but Total P is not too far away. We've got a pit stop then for Justice as he goes in the pit lane on lap 7 out of 29 then. So let's see what tyres he put on. I presume it's the medium compound tyres. We've also got another one in the pit lane, that is XO Rocco. The two Hasses on the same strategy, so the one stayed out longer than the other one. And let's see that it's the medium compound tyres for Justice then. So Nathan and QVR Campbell will have to push this lap to respond to Justice's pit stop. And let's see where he joins. Nice clear air for Justice. He can use that clear air to try and close in on Nathan and QVR Campbell to stay ahead of them. So let's see how it pans out for them. He needs to get those tyres warm as quickly as possible as he can, so he can start pushing on them. And let's see what happens from there on in. So Nathan then and QVR Campbell will push absolutely hard. We'll see see what's going to happen. But Total P's then will take the lead of the Grand Prix soon. But we've got a yellow flag, and that's a Red Bull. That's a Red Bull slowing down for Giroud. I think Giroud made a mistake earlier on, and Mark's just slowing down for him because those two are in no man's land. They're just fighting among each other, having a bit of fun here in Australia. XL Gary. But Nathan, relentless Nathan, has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty that will cost him dearly towards the end of this race. Sadly for him, trying to push as hard as he can, but pushed a little bit too hard and going off the track there as he tries to do the overcut on Justice. But these two then, I think, will pick this lap to respond to the undercut from Justice. There we go then. Nathan and QVR Campbell are in the pit lane. Let's see what happens. Will Justice rejoin ahead of these two, or will it be the other way around? Can he get enough temperature of those tyres to start absolutely pushing it on these mediums? Going to be careful though not to push too hard. And Stan nicely takes the lead in this race. A lot of people pitting this lap to get rid of those soft compound tyres on the mediums they go. So if Total P's will get promoted up into P3, and he'll start to push as hard as he can on those mediums, doing the alternate strategy.
Yep, so we'll have to keep an eye out. We'll see where they come out and where they're going to come out in reference to Justice here.
It's close.
Oh, Ben is...
that was so close. And it's a safety car. He crashed out of turn 2.
Yeah, I see that there. Just jumping on board with QVR Campbell. So for Justice, he hangs on to the lead of the race here. So that pit stop, that undercut did work out. Even with the safety car, I'm sure Nathan and QVR Campbell might have had their eyes light up a little bit in hopes that they might have been able to just eke out enough time. I mean, to be fair, maybe not. Justice could have had possibly a bit more of a gap had that safety car not come out and be forced to slow down. But unfortunately for Ben, on the exit at turn 2, you have to think it might have been something similar to what we saw the Red Bull driver do a couple laps ago. Maybe just unsettling the car a little bit on the curb, getting on the power, and ending up in the wall. But that is going to bring out a safety car here on lap 9. Definitely gonna, I would think, benefit the likes of, I'll say, Dan and Jamie 1, who have yet to take their stops here. And I would think that, yep, you can see Dan, he's gonna dive into the pits, unsurprisingly. And I think Jamie 1 is gonna follow suit here. Definitely is going to be the case. And even P's on those mediums, he's gonna pit. I do like the call from Pease, just given you get that pit stop, you can get a fresh compound on, and already with everybody else having to drive a little bit slower, you did what you had to do. But Pease is putting on a set of medium tires here, so he's still gonna have to take a second pit stop. But I think he's banking on everybody else having to take that second pit stop as well. So I think he's just relying on most of the grid committing to the two-stop strategy, rather than extending the softs and going for that one stop, or extending the mediums, I guess I should say, for the full, I'll say 19 to 20-ish laps here that are remaining for this race.
It's like a 2018 version with the safety car coming out, because Dan Neisig is just rejoined ahead of Justus, the Ferrari ahead of the Mercedes, because they were under a delta. They could not go full speed, so Dan Neisig was able to get out of the pit lane and rejoin ahead of Justus, Nathan and QVR Campbell. QVR Campbell in P5 there with Stephen in P6, and Carl Mensa said, I think the only one not to pit under the safety car because he's on the medium compound tyres, so yeah, he decided to stay out there, take track position and do medium to soft. But it's an awkward position for the medium runners to pit because, like you said, Total Peace has to do a two-stop now. Those mediums can't go to the end, but they've got to emulate that tyre compound using more than one tyre compound. So Total Peace will have to take another pit stop, along with a few others who might have gone to the medium compound tyres and they've started on it. So I think a few people got on the soft compound tyres like Gary, Luke. They can't go to the end, they'll have to do a two-stop, unless, of course, they do that one lap on the softs and come into the pit lane on the medium compound tyres. I think YS Brand is going to do that as well, because on the hard compound tyre, will he switch over to the medium compound tyres? Because he's surrounded by soft runners. He's evident those guys on the soft runners might get the jump on him, as the hards will take longer to warm up. The soft compound tyres will be very grippy, and he might be under massive pressure for those guys behind. So when he come on to the medium compound tyres, we'll find out. Will anyone take another pit stop here? We've got Total P's in the pit lane, so he's given all that track position. XL Gary and the McLaren driver, like I said, so they get rid of that more than one tyre compound. But Total P's, strange one, because it's medium, what? Is it going to be soft? Those softs can't go to the end. It's got to be the hard compound tyres for sure. No, it's the softs.
No, he is putting those on the softs.
Those softs can't go to the end, my friend. I think they're going to have to make another pit stop. So I thought he would have done medium, soft, medium, unless there was something wrong with the MFD, of course. But Total Peas will be rapid on those soft compound tyres. He's lost a lot of positions then, has Total Peas.
Yeah, definitely not ideal for his strategy. I have to think that, Jamie, like what you were saying, you have to think that he just wanted to go medium, soft, and then back on the mediums, but whether it was due to just a mistake in selecting the tires or a pit wall error, just got the strategy mixed up, where he put on that extra set of mediums. I guess we'll keep an eye out on it just to see if he ends up taking I'll say a third pit stop here under the safety car, to put back on a set of mediums. But it's an interesting strategy call for him. I mean, of course, for YS Brand, unsurprising that he gets off those hard tires and goes back on a set of mediums, so that way he just gets those two tire compounds on, and he should be able to go to the end of the Grand Prix. Alternatively, strategy for Peas, though, if I'm going to go back to this, if he doesn't take that other pit stop, could just be push those soft tires into oblivion, then take that pit stop, and he can go on to whatever he wants, maybe another set of soft tires. But maybe he's feeling comfortable with his ability to overtake on this circuit, and with the safety car bunching up the field, maybe he's just feeling, like I said, maybe just feeling confident that he can overtake, take that pit stop, and re-overtake afterwards. But of course, that's a tall order to ask of any driver here around this circuit, but around any circuit really. So we'll see. And he is going to be taking a pit stop. So I think there was just a miscommunication for the Alfa Romeo, and I think going to be unsurprisingly I wouldn't be surprised to see another set of mediums here. Oh, and it looks like there was a collision. YS Brand, XL Gary. I think there might have been a little bit of a checkup here that caused a bit of a collision. You're seeing those 5-second penalties that were awarded here. Just YS Brand got it from the driver behind. So I didn't quite get to see what happened there, but not ideal for YS Brand in that McLaren, as he's gonna have 5 seconds added on to his time if he does finish the race on those compounds. Other than that, likes of XL Gary, Luke with 3 seconds. He's at Cush already with 6 seconds, as we saw. First driver to take penalties and struggling with those track limits. And Nathan, that uncharacteristic 3-second penalty from him as well. Don't see that too often from the AlphaTauri driver, but he's going to have to keep that in mind as this race is going to continue. where I'd like to think the safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap, and we should be able to go back to racing here.
Yeah, I think Brand will have to take a pit stop because he's got full wind damage and it's the left end plate he is missing. So double punishment there for Brand, I'm afraid. He's going to rejoin down in 17th place as all the field is punched up. But Carl Menzel's lead is on all the medium compound tyres. Dan Neising, he could possibly take the lead of this race. He was in 4th place before the safety car happened. He took advantage of the safety car because they were under a delta. They couldn't go full speed as they would have rejoined ahead of him. But let's see then how it all plans out for him. Warming those tyres up. Carl Menzel has the chance when he wants to go all night. He's going to wait for the safety car to come in, then he can bolt it whenever he wants to. We'll be probably towards the end of the final corner there or halfway down the straight, but we'll see then. Dan Neising has to overtake Carl Menzel as quickly as he can. He can't afford to be stuck behind him, and let's see then how quickly those guys can follow up, taking advantage of Carl Menzel's older tyres as he makes his way around the penultimate corner. Now let's see then when he will bolt. This could be a very interesting second phase of this race because we've got Dan Neising now, probably a 4-way fight for first as they make a way stuff up towards the final corner. I think Carl Menzel's gone now, unless he's got a better restart. Look at Nathan, he's right behind Justice. They're both using the EOS, of course, to try and stay ahead or get ahead of each other. But as we make our way down into turn 1, then Justice stays in P3. But Dan Neising made a mistake coming out of turn 2, and here he comes then. Justice is round the back of him, and Dan Neising will be putting the EOS on to try to fend for him, but Justice has gone down the inside into turn number 3. They go inside by side, coming out the corner, but Dan Neising gets a good exit coming out of turn 3, around the outside, better traction, gets on the throttle earlier, and he remains in P2 then, so safe there from Dan, but he'll looking to be overtaking that Williams as quickly as he can then, to try and take the lead of this race and control it from there. The Carl Menzel then stays in P1. I think we had a bit of a something going on in midfield. Oh, Giroud Visser has lost it and he's hit the wall and he's saved it. He hit the wall with his tyre and I think he's got away with it. There's 3 cars going into turn number 9 and 10. Giroud, the Ferrari of XL Lock, he's got off the track, and that's the Alpine of Killer Blue there, and they sort themselves out then. I think Giroud's got away with that one. Hopefully he hasn't sustained anything with damage because it's a second chance for Red Bull to try and claw their way back from the field after making early mistakes from this race so far early. As we make our way down into turn 13 there, Carl Menzel still stays ahead, but he'll be under massive threat once the DRS comes because there's 3 DRS zones and he's on all the tyres of course, so expected to be overtaken once that happens, but still leading the race. Dan Neising is right behind him, corner over the back. Can he get a decent exit coming out this final corner, try and set himself up into turn number 4? Has to get a good exit coming out of turn 1 because he did suffer last time out, and that's allowed Justice right at the back of him and managed to stay ahead of him. So heading into turn 1 yet again, has got a good run. He cuts the first corner, so he might get a warning for that one. Got to be careful not to do that more than 2 times, otherwise you'll pick himself up a 3-second time penalty. But as anybody close on this occasion to make a move, Total Peas around the back of XL Gary. Gary defends the inside line. Total Peas just stays behind for the time being. Yeah, looks like Carl Menzel then leading ahead of Dan, followed by the rest of them.
Yeah, but I think for now we might not see too many moves up until at least not until DRS gets active. Not through lack of trying. You saw Nathan make an attempt. He showed himself towards the inside, maybe trying to get Justice just to think about it a little bit, force him into a mistake. But of course, a lot easier said than done. I'm sure Justice is well aware of that as well. So he just stuck what he had to do. Carmentelis doing a very good job of hanging on to that lead here on those much older tires, but of course I think he was hoping that drivers behind on those fresher tires are maybe going to battle a little bit more than what they have been. You can see QVR Campbell right up on the back of Nathan, was about 1/10 of a second behind on the straightaway, but just not close enough to get a move done.
He almost spun. He almost lost it. QVR Campbell locked the rear brakes. He braked too late into that penultimate corner there, and that's a tricky corner, that one. He can catch a lot of people out as DRS is enabled, as he's going to get. He almost got swallowed up out of the field there. He looked like he was going to spin, but saved the car, thankfully, and lives on for another day as he stays in P5 there. But DRS is enabled, not on this occasion, because the detection point is before the final corner, and the detection point is for 2 DRS zones only. Unfortunately, XL Rocket then side by side with Jamie, and as they go side by side, coming into turn number 6 now. Jamie has the inside line and the racing line, and he remains in P7 ahead of. Somebody spun in the background. That's Total Peas. Yeah, so gone for a spin.
So Peas was on the Peas was side by side with XL Gary as they were having a little bit of a battle right behind the 2 Haas drivers that went side by side. But where we saw the Haas drivers essentially, I think whether team principal got on the radio and told them, hey, let's get through this corner cleanly. Peas and Gary, well, they played a game of chicken. They just continued side by side, and of course, a little bit of contact, jumped quickly on board with XL Gary there just to see the hand come up, so I think there was a little bit of contact, but unfortunately for Peas, did not end up the way he was hoping for. But you can now see Luke with those soft tires. He's trying to go for an overtake. He's on the inside line with XL Rocco. Can he keep it around the outside of the penultimate corner? Yes, he can. And with that turning into the inside line, he does get the overtake done to go up into P9. So it was a good move from Luke. But now XL Rocco gonna be fighting back here. Now up at the front, Carmentalus still hanging on to that lead. But here comes Dan. He's gonna go for it around the outside. He's just a little bit ahead, but it's gonna be tough going the long way around. But he makes it work with those fresher tires. Dan in the Ferrari takes the lead of the Grand Prix, but we got a yellow flag here as that's Killer Blue out of the session. And you can see that car there facing the wrong way in turn 4, and that's gonna bring out another safety car here on lap 16. Are we gonna see another round of pit stops here for some of these drivers?
Definitely Carmentalist.
Yeah, I would definitely think Carmentalist. I'm sure Peas might as well, just to get off that set of mediums that he went for a spin on. But I mean, Carmentalist maybe it could have gotten a gift, but also the grid didn't have all that much time to really separate. So maybe, I mean, what Carmentalus was hoping for, but maybe not as much, in a sense that he's still going to be falling way down the order, given the grid is just so punched up here with, I mean, how close they stayed once the previous safety car went into the pits. So we'll see how that's going to play out, but Jamie, were you able to see what happened to Killer Blue? Because I missed it there. I just saw the yellow flag and then noticed the car just facing the wrong way there.
It's a shame for Killer Blue there. It's such an easy corner to lose. But QVR Campbell then has gone for a pit stop. I think he wants to get out of that DRS train. Multiple drivers have gone for a pit stop. You expect Carmentalus to do that pit stop because he's gone from mediums to soft. Started on those medium compound tyres. So it works well for Carmentalus because he's not going to lose too many positions. And he is going to rejoin in P9 on a brand new set of the soft compound tyres that can go towards the end. So it's worked nicely there for Carmentalus. And let's see what he can do on those softs. Has got QVR Campbell there giving up that track position. So let's see how this strategy plans out, because he's going to get himself through a lot of cars here. He wants to get himself out of that DRS, train, I must say, because it's very hard to overtake if you're in the 4th car behind. So difficult to overtake. We've seen it in the past before, but that's going to be very interesting to see what QVR Campbell and Carmentalus can do then, to see if he can claw their way back the field through the field. But it's going to be very difficult to get near the lead, because there's a lot of cars in between them, so that's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But both Red Bulls there going side by side and swapping positions. But yeah, I bet Dan Nising didn't want that safety car to come out, because he put a car in between himself and Justice, and he would love to pull away from that, get out of the DRS range of Carmentalus and let Justice fight him, use the extra ERS and waste time. But yeah, safety cars punched the ball up, and yet again for the second time in this race. Let's see how the second phase of the race goes.
Yeah, we'll see how that's going to play out with that second safety car. I mean, of course, Carmentalus, unsurprisingly, pitting for a set of softs, committed to that one stop, and it did work out well for him, given a lot of drivers also opting to get off those medium tires, even though they're only a couple laps old, for the much grippier, much quicker set of soft tires. So we'll see if they can work their way up the field a little bit more. First order of business is going to be to try to get past these Red Bulls. And speaking of the Red Bulls, remember, they were essentially running dead last at the start of this race, and not just that, but they were getting lapped earlier on in this race. So it's a bit of a, it just goes to show, sticking with the race, you never know what could happen. I mean, of course, Jerome pitting for a fresh set of softs, so he's going to end up back down the field.
And a new wing.
Yeah, a new wing as well, so maybe a little bit of contact with his teammate there, as they were, I think, having a little bit of fun under the safety cars. We saw that, but I mean, still going to be able to catch up and might be able to still make some work. Mark also running in P7, though, finds himself right back with the help of that safety car. So, I mean, just goes to show, you never want to give up on a race, because you never know what could happen here, and that's a prime example of exactly what could happen, of course, with a nearly a best case scenario. So I mean, with that second life Mark has, we'll see what he can do here once the safety car does come in. I mean, of course, there's going to be a lot of quick runners further up. I mean, the likes of Justice, which we've seen all afternoon, the pace he's had in qualifying and so far here in the race. I mean, you can never count Nathan out with the just his raw pace that he has around just about any circuit, leading the championship for a reason this season, of course. And of course, Dan in that Ferrari, he's got the lead. He's on those slightly fresher medium tires, but safety cars coming in at the end of this lap. Dan's gonna be leading the way. We're gonna have to keep an eye out and see when he's gonna go, and if he can catch anybody off guard. The likes of which I think it was Carmentalist nearly did on that first safety car restart going late. And we almost saw an overtake at the line from the likes of Nathan on Justice, I think it was at the time.
I wonder if Dan's first time, I think, is probably leading the Grand Prix with these guys as well. So I wonder how he's going to cope with the pressure. Let's see if Dan can do it. I think he's been on the podium before, hasn't he? I remember speaking to him in a podium interview, or probably in a party afterwards. Did he get the podium before?
Yes, I'm pretty sure he's been on the podium. I do remember, I know we've had a Ferrari on the podium, and I think it was Dan. But you can see going around the final corner, now he goes, yeah, Nathan worked last time around. We'll see if it works again, if he can get the run. Was essentially alongside, pulling the Max Verstappen, I'll say. Oh, side-by-side, though, through turn one. Oh no, and that's Mark and Luke falling down the order. You can see Luke facing the wrong way. There's Jerome as well who spun around. I know it was one of the Red Bulls. Carmentalist, meanwhile, overtaking QVR Campbell as they were fighting along further up. That contact didn't bring out a safety car or a virtual safety car, so we're continuing racing. Not what the Red Bulls are hoping for. Just as I was saying not too long ago, they had that second life, but that's not what you're hoping for. Is now YS Brand gets ahead, and that once again I think knocks them out of contention, as they might need to take another pit stop to switch that front wing. Meanwhile, Pease putting pressure on XL Gary on that set of soft tires. It worked out very well for him last time around. He was on the softs. We'll see if he can make them work. But of course, he's got more soft tire runners ahead of him that he's gonna have to get past. Meanwhile, Carmentalist alongside of Jamie 1, QVR Campbell. I think he's gonna try to run that quicker line as we're on board with Isaac Kush watching this happen. But still a bit of a battle here between the two. Jamie 1 defending, putting on a defensive clinic here, keeping Carmentalist behind, and that opens the door for QVR Campbell to get ahead, as it's going to be a drag race between these two drivers as they're side by side almost going into turn one, and that's QVR Campbell getting ahead of Carmentalist to put a valiant effort. Yeah, out of shape was QVR Campbell as Carmentalist getting ahead, and you can see Isaac Kush now going alongside as who's going to outbreak who into turn three. Wheel to wheel they go, and it looks like Isaac Kush, I think, will get ahead, but no, QVR Campbell gets the second run as he hangs on to P7. A good battle between the two drivers, and QVR Campbell, I think best case scenario, he lost the battle to Carmentalist, but was able to hang on to P7, limit the damage, and keep the Mercedes of Isaac Kush behind for the time being, as it's a great battle between the two, whereas further ahead, Dan doing what he has to do, 7/10 of a second between himself and Justice, hanging on to that lead, but we'll see what happens once DRS does get active here within the next lap or two, I think.
This is absolutely amazing, because you can see the comments. This is on the soft compound tyres. The rest of the medias, one of them's got a penalty in the top 5. Comments, this keeps it nice and clean. He looks like he's got better pace than Jamie. Jamie's defenders was fantastic in that final set. They're defending from both comments list and QVR Campbell. It's got a bit deeper to, I think comments list with the better soft compound tyres got more grip in there. But so make our way onto lap 21. I think DRS should be enabled now. Yes, it is enabled, but not on this part of the track, because the detection point was before the last corner. One detection point for 2 DRS zones, of course. So DRS will be on this lap. Let's see if Comments gets a run on Jamie 1 as he gets a better exit. Using that ERS to try and help him to get past him. Will he go around the outside with the better soft compound tyres? Yes, he will then. Jamie now breaks him into turn number 3. But QVR Campbell, Comments with a switchback going around the outside. And he's done it. What a move there from Comments. Now Jamie 1 then is under pressure from QVR Campbell. Comments is on a charge here. He got a podium last time out in races before. Can he get another one? Because he's right behind Steven. If he can get past Steven, he'll be right behind Nathan, who has got a 3-second time penalty. So Carl Mendes can sniff a podium or potential race win, depends what happens later in this race. But Kvyat Campbell then all over the back of Jamie Ward, helping him through turn 9 and turn 10, pushed him through the corners, but DRS will help him to try and get past him into turn 13 if he gets a good run, which he should do with the soft compound tyres. He's right behind him now. Jamie Ward does have DRS though, he's still at the detection point behind Carl Mendes, so it's going to be a drag race all the way down into turn 13. Carl Mendes later on the brakes as you expect, but Jamie Ward's still sticking around the outside, but he can't do anything about it, of course, with Kvyat Campbell fresher soft compound tyres, and Isa Kush then we're going to go, we hit the back of him, and Jamie Ward goes wide and off the track, and Isa Kush then goes off the track too, and into the pits goes Isa Kush. So I think those two races there has sadly been ruined. But meanwhile, second place is under threat then from Justice. He's right behind Dan, and Nathan's putting pressure on him too. So how long can Dan keep these two behind? Because he's going to use a lot of ERS obviously to try and stay ahead, but how much ERS can he save in that battery to try and stay ahead of these two? How much more can he use? Because Justice has got a lot of ERS in comparison to Dan Nicely, which he can afford to use, but also save behind Dan. So he's got to think about that as well. Because Justice, though, he's a smart driver. He knows that Nathan's got a penalty right behind, and he's going to fight for first place. So it looks like he's going to stay in the DRS range of Dan for a few laps, then inevitably try and overtake him for P1, because he doesn't want to go for it too early, just in case Nathan gets him as well, and potentially fights for the last lap. So using Dan for DRS there.
Yeah, we'll see how that's going to play out here as the lap start to dwindle down. Dan, he is hanging on to the lead for the time being, but you can see Dan with about not even a quarter of a battery left. Justice right behind with looking to have 3/4 and nearly 4/5 yellow flag, as it looks to just be the Red Bulls. Drew and Spun really not having a race to remember here. Is Jerome, but you saw Justice, as I was mentioning, ERS just mishandled the car as he almost looked to have a decent run, but I think he's going to have to retool. Meanwhile, a little bit further down, going into turn 1, Peasy's closing on XL Rocco, but couldn't quite get it done. We'll see if he's going to push a little bit more here into turn 3, but stuck in that DRS train of cars, as you can see, with everybody so close together.
List.
Evening out, yeah, Carmentalist, not what he was hoping for. A 3-second time penalty, which puts him even with Nathan there. So now all of a sudden he's got to focus. But that's going to help as Steven has a big moment there, as now Carmentalist overtook him, and Kvyat Campbell, you can see alongside. Can he stick it around the outside? Yes, he does. So Kvyat Campbell does what he needs to do. Of course, he does have penalties as well. But he's at least keeping up with Carmentalist, which was crucial for himself. And now XL Rocco gets ahead. Side by side, they get in contact with each other. I saw bits of wing fly off, but all the while Justice makes a move for the lead of the race, and it looks like he does hang on to the lead of the race, as Justice is in P1, Dan in second now, under pressure from Nathan. There's a little bit of contact, and Dan has a little bit of a half spin, as now the two are side by side here. And Dan sent into the wall. It looks like a side pod glitch here. It's all gone off here on lap 22 of the Grand Prix. My goodness, what's going on here? Dan out of contention as he's now in 6th place.
He's going to crash. He's going to crash. Peace has lost his front wing. I think he had damage because he did slow the car down to turn 1, locked up into turn 1, and went straight off into the wall and lost all of his wing. So Peace then potentially out of this race, but all lucky to Dan Isaac there, because I think he did nothing wrong. Just Nathan outbroke himself into the Pulsman corner, sent Dan into a half spin. Nathan took advantage around that, went around the outside, and Dan was in the wrong place at the wrong time in the final corner there. Just couldn't get it together, but hopefully he hasn't got any for wind damage. He just went off the track, and hopefully he's got a penalty as well, so he's now even with the guys ahead, so there's no advantage there for him. It looks like he's struggling now. I think he's struggling in frustration, must be said, as he can't get to settle down a bit. So yes, unlucky there for Dan Nicely, but look at that, Steven could find himself on the podium because he's in 6th place. He's got no penalties to his name so far, so he could find himself in a lovely P2 or P3, but Justice then, the only man in the top 3 who hasn't got a penalty, so looks like Justice could easily win this race. If he doesn't pick up any penalties, he's going to keep it nice and clean, but Red Bull and Giroud has gone, so I think that could be another safety car because he crashed at the exit of turn 6, and don't think the safety car will come out. So that's it for him. Giroud is out of his race. So all struggling around here at the Australian Grand Prix, unsurprisingly. But Nathan getting closer. Nathan's got nothing to lose essentially, so he just pushed as hard as he can then, trying to take the lead of this race. But it's a safety car. Safety car has neutralised this race, and it's prevented, I dare say, Nathan overtaking Justice. And QVR Campbell and Carl Mensah's all over the back of him. So late safety car then, approaching lap 25. Let's see what happens then, as everybody's going to dive in the pit lane. Not everybody, but the guys behind are going to dive in the pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I'll call it a third chance. It was a very late safety car call, as they didn't want to bring it out when Luke got next to that car, but seems like once the lead runners got nearby, that's what, that was essentially what would have triggered the safety car, unless there was something else that we missed here in the process that just so happened to happen at the same time. We'll see how that's playing out. For Jerome, it's a unlucky end to that race here, as he just really wasn't having all that great of a race. I think battling with his teammate, I think the driver's just having a little bit of fun, I guess a little bit of fun with each other. But of course, that kind of thing happens. But definitely not ideal, as Mark also had to get a front wing change in the process here under safety car. But I mean, that was a crazy lap 22. I gotta go back to it there just a little bit. I mean, so much happened, just different little bits here and there. Of course, the big talking point is I think Nathan just missing his braking point ever so slightly, sending Dan in that little bit of a half spin. And of course, Dan, it was a great recovery to keep that car on track and not lose more than he had. But of course, once he did keep that car on track, I mean, he was essentially just a sitting duck in the process, and of course we saw that got eaten alive as he was just trying to get back up to speed, trying to get back up to the run, but no easy feat, of course, when that does happen. So very unfortunate, but through all of that, he still finds himself, he stayed out, and with the pit stops that we saw, finds himself running in fourth now, and with that safety car, he's going to be bunched right back up with the leaders. Here he does have that penalty, and speaking of penalties, let's take a look here. Okay, so Justice leading the way, no penalties to his name, not too sure how many warnings. Nathan, Carmentalis, Dan, and QVR Campbell all have 3 seconds of penalties. Of course, Steven has none, as he should be able to catch up to the field.
Wow.
So, I mean, Steven, if he can just keep with everybody else, he might be able to leapfrog up to. Up to a podium, maybe even up to P2 if he can just keep that gap close enough and keep it clean. And even XL Larkin, if he can make a little bit of move there in that Ferrari from P8, but just with how close the grid is going to be here over the course of the last 2 laps or so, that could be a nice little jump from XL Larkin as well. But of course, he's going to have a little bit more work cut out for him, as he's going to have a little bit more traffic to try to get ahead. Of course, the likes of XL Gary in 7th, and I mean, like we mentioned, Steven as well, that they're going to be battling possibly amongst each other for what could be a P2 and a P3 on the podium once the penalties get all sorted out.
Steve is going to be super cautious because he's got 2 warnings, so he can't afford to exceed track limits one more time, otherwise he'll be even with 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. So he'll be really careful not to pick up that last warning, because that last warning can determine whether he finishes at P8 or P2. Because, like you said, guys ahead have got penalties, and some guys behind hasn't. XL Larkin, like you said, hasn't got a penalty, so he could jump up the order with those soft compound tyres, because they went for another pit stop with nothing to lose, essentially, further down the field. Steve's going to be very, very quick towards the last few laps with the newer tyres. He can afford to push, or others will struggle, because if they push too hard, they might start around. So Steven, then with the fresher tyres, with 3 laps to go, he'll be very happy, looking comfortable. But like I said, going to be very careful not to exceed track limits one more time, otherwise he'll finish down in P6.
Yeah, he knows that as well with his 2 warnings. because I'm sure you would have seen them pop up. So he knows as much as anybody, he's going to have to keep it clean. He's going to have to keep it on track. But of course, at a track like this one here in Australia, as we can see, it's a lot easier said than done to keep it within the limits, especially when you're driving on the edge, trying to keep up, focusing on the gaps, focusing on everything else, and knowing what's at stake here. Sometimes the pressure will get to you, but here we go. Safety car coming in at the end of this lap, as we would expect. Of course, we're going to be going back to green for lap 28 and lap 29 for a 2-lap sprint to the finish here, as a little bit of a checkup here going through the corners. I'm sure drivers expecting it with that safety car coming in here at the end of this lap with the call. Justice putting some heat in his tires. Of course, himself, Nathan, Dan on the medium tires that have gone quite a few laps here. But even the likes of Carmentalist and QVR Campbell on those 10-lap old soft tires, they're going to be feeling the wear. They're going to be feeling the pressure, especially from those on that fresh set of soft tires who have nothing to lose here. They're going to have a lot more grip. They're going to have a lot more pace through the corners. Can they make it work here with the limited amount of laps that are remaining here in this Grand Prix? But here we go. Rounding the final corner is Justice. He goes much earlier, not giving Nathan the time to do that stop and move that he's seen twice. And into the run into turn 1. You can see a car weaving in the background. I think that might have been Gary.
Nathan spun! Nathan spun!
Nathan went for a spin there, and he's out of contention just like that, as you can see, way down the order in 15th. So that's going to be the end of his Grand Prix. You can see a side-by-side battle between Dan and Steven, as Steven gets ahead as he's up into P4. So he's got already one move done as he puts another car between himself and XL Larkin, which is going to be great. He's keeping up. He's going to have to get past QVR Campbell. He knows he can do it with the penalties, but of course, making that overtake on those two drivers is going to be great for him. In case he does make that mistake, it's going to give him that extra leeway. QVR Campbell helping him out just a little bit, as you can see, I think struggling on the exit of that corner. Mark making an overtake on Luke a little bit further down on track here. A little bit. YS Brand putting pressure on XL Larkin, but XL Larkin putting pressure on XL Gary. He's not going to be able to get the overtake done. We're not going to have DRS going into the final lap either, of course, as it'll probably be activated at the end of lap 29, but it's going to be too little too late. So drivers going to have to rely on the battery and have to rely on pure pace. So could be an advantage on these softer tire runners who have a little bit more grip. But here we go, lap 29 out of 29. Justice leading the way here. Carmentalist trying to keep up. QVR Campbell behind, but of course, Steven, all eyes are on him. Can he keep it clean? Meanwhile, I think that was XL Gary going to be trying an overtake on Dan, going around the outside, turns into the inside, and that's XL Gary. He makes the move stick, but now are we going to see maybe the Ferrari switch places as YS Brand putting pressure on the Ferrari? Going to be a little easier said than done here with this pressure, but with about 2/3 of a lap to go, it's all on the line here for a couple of these drivers. Of course, YS Brandon. Oh, what happened to XL Larkin? He's went for a spin. He's out of contention. Heartbreak for XL Larkin, as he could have been on pace for a podium, but it wasn't meant to be here, as he's now down in 15th. Not what he was hoping for here, but that is racing at the end here, at the end of the day. So that's going to be bringing out a yellow flag, 'cause I think that's just insult to injury for XL Larkin as he retires, I think, on track, but I'm not going to read too much about that, as it is the final lap. Isaac Cushion, P is battling side by side, but up at the front, it's going to be Justice who takes the victory here. Steven Oates jumps up to second. XL Rocco, oh, it was so close, 1/10 of a second from a podium, but Carmentalist hangs on to that final podium spot in P3. But my, that was close at the end there for XL Rocco, who jumped way up. P's getting driver of the day, as he probably had one of the more eventful races out of all of them, from last up to a top 5. He went up and down the field, but my goodness, Jamie, that was a crazy second half of that race. But I mean, Justice, we saw he was on pace for the whole race, and I mean, a well-deserved P1, kept it clean, didn't take any penalties, and at the end of the day, that worked out for him as he was just able to, I don't want to say cruise to victory, but I mean, get a bit more of a comfortable victory with that late safety car that came out.
Yeah, he did. He did a fantastic job, kept it nice and clean, like you said, no penalties, didn't get himself any drama whatsoever, planned his moves as well. So, yeah, what a race there from Justice and not getting himself in any trouble. Steven, however, from P5 to P2, and Car Mentalist, second podium of the season, P12 to P3. He'll be very happy about that one indeed. What a race from him, what a race for all of them. It's just changed. Those two safety cars definitely changed the trajectory of the race, because we always thought that was going to be Nathan QVR Campbell or Justice fighting with the top three, but that first safety car changed things, and the second safety car definitely changed things with a mixture of softs and mediums, and sadly, Nathan fortunately spotted the exit of turn 2, I've seen it plenty before, just hooked that inside curve way too much, and yeah, just went for that spin. I've seen plenty of people do it in the past as well, so that last lap adrenaline of people trying to stay on the podium or get on the podium with no penalties as well. But Stephen then, he'll be happy, very happy with P2. He did a fantastic job in the race and comments list. Congrats to him as well, so congrats to top 3. Unlucky for Larkin there, not quite sure, I didn't quite see it myself what happened, if he went side by side with somebody or just lost it by himself, but almost a Portugal situation there where he lost it but still was able to get on the podium because he didn't lose too many positions, as the rest of them had penalties ahead, but unfortunately couldn't get his second podium of the season.
Yeah, very unfortunate. You got to feel for Excel Larkin just a little bit there. He was on pace, and that I couldn't quite say either what happened, if it was just of his own accord or if there was a bit of a battle going on there. But I mean, I'll say the mistake happened nonetheless, which sent him out of contention. I mean, Nathan, of course, a rare mistake from Nathan there, but at a crucial time, which essentially sent him out of contention as well. And I mean, allowed Justice to breathe ever so smoothly. But let's see if we can get the invites in for the post race interviews. I've got the top 3. I just got to send the invites. See who already has access to the coveted comms party and who has earned those accesses here, getting on the podium. So bear with me just a little bit as I get them all sent off. But I mean, I still can't get over that second half of the race here. I mean, it seemed like we saw lap 22. It was where everything just kind of kicked off. Whole bunch of different overtakes, incidents happening. I mean, separate of one another. And since there, with the safety cars, it just really. I mean, it all just kicked off there at the end, where of course. Started the race a little bit more calm. I think drivers just getting into that groove, but of course, once that pressure, knowing that not too much time left to work with here, as we've seen time and time again in Division 1, as drivers start putting on the pressure on one another, and it leads to some great scenes, some crazy scenes like we saw here today. So just got one more to send, and then we'll be good to go, and you won't have to be looking at this blue screen and listen to me ramble on here. Shouldn't be too long, so thank you for your patience in the meantime. All right. So, sent them off. Sorry? Yeah, I sent them off to Steven and Carmentalist. Justice was already here in the party from previously, so couldn't send him another one there as he already has it.
You'll be very happy about your comments list.
Yeah, yeah. First to join in, so let's get that Williams here on the screen, all the way at the back here. But I mean, Carmentalist not showing that. But can you hear us at all, Carmentalist?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Perfect. So, I mean, it was a great race from you. I think running or at the start of the race, running the alternate strategy really put you in contention. I'm sure that first safety car was a little worried for you. Second one came out and seemed a little bit more worked out pretty well for you. I'm sure it was maybe nerve-wracking at the end with that penalty, knowing possibly some drivers could overtake you. But, I mean, talk us through it. What were your thoughts here at the end of that race?
A lot of thoughts going on, really. I think, yeah, the first safety car was a real pain. I did kind of think that first safety car kind of ended my chances. I just stayed out, hoping that another safety car would come out, which it did, but I was surprised that I was the only one that stayed out at that first safety car. But it went surprisingly well. The end of that first safety car, I thought I'd plummet through the pack, but it didn't turn out that way. And yeah, the penalty was annoying on my side. I shouldn't have got it. I was just driving really aggressively. But thankfully for me, everybody and their mum killed themselves in that race pretty much, so I didn't get I didn't really have to worry about people behind, so that was all good. So yeah, in the end it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, and that was something I wanted to ask after that first safety car, where you said yourself, I mean, everybody went into the pits, you stayed out, kept that track position, kept to that strategy, but I mean, knowing that you had the likes of Justice, Nathan, QBR Campbell, Dan, all on those fresher set of tires, and all showing a lot of pace, I mean, how nerve-wracking was that for you with that safety car restart, in knowing the position you're in and knowing effectively what could happen with the tire difference?
It was a little bit nerve-wracking, definitely, with the fact that nobody else stayed out with me. That was definitely nerve-wracking. I think because I was only the second medium runner at the start of the race, I was expecting maybe 2 or 3 to stay out, and that would have been a bit of a buffer for me, a good buffer at least, to the chasing pack. But I think after the first lap was done, and I saw that Dan wasn't crawling all over the back of me, it wasn't too much of a worry. So it was just kind of a wait. I think they were just waiting for DRS, which in the end was the case. And then, yeah, so initially it was nerve-wracking. But after the first lap, after the safety car, I was fine. I was just kind of waiting for the second safety car, so I wasn't thinking about desperately trying to hold on to the lead. I just wanted to be as clean and precise as I could.
Sorry, I had muted my mic there. I mean, the last question I had for you was going into this race here at the start. Could you have predicted yourself here on that podium?
Definitely not. No. I mean, the last time I touched this game before half an hour before this race today was the Britain round last week at ISRL. I've had pretty much a busy week, so I haven't been touching the game. And to say the game feels weird after not playing it for a week is an understatement. So I had no confidence going in. I was honestly ecstatic that I qualified 12th, to be honest. I thought that was really good for me. And yeah, to come away with that kind of finish is great. But I mean, I could have kind of expected it. It's Australia. Australia is usually quite difficult for people, and keeping it clean can get you a good result. But yeah, third was definitely not what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe like a 7th or an 8th, but yeah, definitely not third. That was well out of reach, I thought, before going into this race. All
right, and Jamie, anything to add at all to that?
When you picked up that 3-second time penalty, you were in second place there. Did you think that you fall off the podium, or do you think you had it covered?
I definitely thought I was going to fall off the podium. I knew that Larkin and Rocco further back had no penalties, and I knew obviously Stephen did as well because he was within my vicinity anyway. So I was thinking probably a P4 or P5 maybe. P5 if Nathan hadn't spun at the end, a P4 after that. But Larkin had his own incident at the end, and then Rocco got kind of held up in the pack, which saved me, and I was very happy to get the podium in the end. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting P4. So yeah, thank you to whoever blocked Rocco in those final couple of laps.
There's a massive car fight, I can tell you that. But it was your second podium of the season, mate. Does this boost your confidence towards the next couple of races?
A little bit, I would say so. Yeah, it's definitely nice to get another podium on the books. I think the remaining rounds don't really suit me as a driver. The tracks coming up, they're not usually favourites of mine. So I think for the rest of the season, it's just trying to solidify where I am in the championship, which I think is possibly 7th, maybe still 8th, depending on, well, Rocco finished right behind me, so he might still have the position. But yeah, in that fight for 7th at the moment, so just trying to keep as close to that fight for 7th as I possibly can is the main target. I'm not expecting another podium for the rest of the season, so who knows? If one comes along, I'll gladly take it, but I wouldn't expect this from me again this season.
What's the next track, Eric?
It's going to be the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard, so it'll be an interesting one for sure. down at that race. I know drivers either love that track or hate that track. So
Yeah. How are you feeling for the French Grand Prix comment list?
I do like Paul Ricard as a track. It is a nice track. It's probably my favourite of the tracks that we go to for the rest of the season. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm all that fast there. And because there's so much runoff, you're very unlikely to get a safety car. And it's probably just going to be the OS train. So I'd imagine that I'll probably be bottom end of the top 10. I would say maybe next week is the target. But yeah, I like France. I'm absolutely dreading the sprint race at Spa, though. I'm not looking forward to it.
But congratulations for your second podium this season, mate. Nice to see you up here again. Good luck to your next race.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thanks for commentating as well.
No problem. Congratulations. I mean, a great podium for you and a great race all around, so congratulations. Perfect. All right, and I just took a quick peek there. As you might have noticed, that blue screen doesn't look like the other two jumped in to the party. They must be too busy running off and celebrating with the champagne. So I think we'll round off the stream here. So Jamie, before we do the final send off, any final words?
Yeah, it's just a massive pleasure to commentate with you always, mate. Every single Sunday, just looking forward to something at the end of the night. So, well, end of the week, I must say that. But yeah, it's a pleasure always to commentate with you. I enjoy it every single Sunday ever since I started with you like a few seasons ago. So, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say really.
All right. I mean, it's a pleasure to have you in the booth with me. Love commentating with you, and of course, when the action is as good as it is, in my opinion, it makes our job just that much easier. I mean, job, of course, in quotation marks, because it really doesn't feel like it here. But
it just goes too quick. I wish it happens at work. Goes quick.
Oh, if only it'd be as quick as this. I mean, but it was a great race here this week. I can't stress that enough. I mean, but I'll say it again, just if you couldn't tell. Fantastic race. Of course, we're going to be back next week, same time, same place, for the French Grand Prix round 12 at Circuit Paul Ricard. You're not going to want to miss that one. It's going to be a great race here. But until then, on behalf of Jamie, myself, and everybody here at ISRL Esports, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.